With Renegades right around the corner, I wanted to do a series leading up to it, going over the best builds for each class and subclass. If you're a new or returning player, I really hope these videos can help get you started, as some of these builds are pretty crazy now. All of these builds are going to be made so you can use whatever weapons you would like to, but I will go over some recommendations that fit with each subclass. On top of that, these builds are not going to be taking advantage of any artifact perks, so you have a clean slate once Renegades launches. I am going to be recording these builds ahead of time, so if any patches come out to change this around, I will update the description down below. As a final note, there are a lot of great builds in Destiny, so if you have one that's similar to this one or even better, definitely be sure to drop it in a comment down below. Again, as this series is to give a place for new returning players to get back into the game a lot quicker. So with all that being said, if you enjoy, learn anything new, and are excited for Renegades, consider doing all the normal YouTube stuff. All of the support is what allows me to make series like this for you all, and I truly appreciate all the love that you show. But without further ado, let's jump into today's build. All right, everyone, we have made it to the final arc build, and this one's going to be all about Arc Strider. Now, this build's a ton of fun, honestly one of the strongest builds in the game, and it's going to be taking advantage of the Gifted Conviction chest piece with the exotic perk, the Gift of Certainty. Activating Ascension or Tempest Strike throws a bouncing explosive at nearby targets to jolt and damage them. Jolting nearby targets grants you damage resistance. So before I show anything off, let's just go on and jump over to the aspects so we can understand what this exotic is doing. First off, we're running Tempest Strike, so while sliding, activate your charge melee ability to unleash a devastating uppercut attack that travels along the ground in front of you, damaging jolted targets that hits. Defeating jolted targets grants a stack of bolt charge. And then we can also pair that with our other aspect, and that is going to be Ascension. So while airborne, you consume your class ability energy to summon your arc staff, propelling yourself upwards and creating a burst of energy around you that amplifies allies and jolts targets. So as you see here, both of these are going to play heavy into jolt, which plays back into the chest piece to grant damage resistance, which is great. The chest piece also will just be able to jolt targets as well. As you see, you can essentially use your Tempest Strike. You're going to send out these grenades, all that's going to jolt, do all that. You can use your Ascension, send out more grenades, all that's going to jolt, give damage resistance, and that's going to basically make you extremely tanky. Pair them with the Amplify as well, because when you're amplified, you get even more damage resistance and enemies are going to shoot you less, and that's kind of the survivability of this build. But we're obviously going to be able to further play into this to make these abilities do a lot of damage and have crazy utility. And the main way we're going to do that is actually with our abilities, which is what we're going to start off with. And first off is actually going to be Gambler's Dodge. So if we use our dodge, aka our Ascension, we can get our melee energy back. This is great because as you see, if we come up here, we can use our melee ability. We're going to be able to then just get our melee back immediately, just like that. It's extremely easy to do. And then if we then pair that with something like Combination Blow, we're going to be able to actually get our class ability back. So now whenever we get a melee kill, we will be able to refund our class ability, as you see here. And this will also work with Ascension. As you see, we get our melee back. And this will also work with Combination Blow. As you see, we get our class ability back. And you can basically keep spamming these over and over again, constantly sending those grenades out, constantly keeping that damage resist up. But even if you don't want to use those, you can still use your normal abilities. As you see, you're still going to get all your energy back. But obviously, it's going to be better if you do play into these. But every now and then, it is nice to just be able to kind of just be able to, like this, just use your dodge, use your Tempest Strike, use your dodge on the ground, use your Tempest Strike. Because Ascension kind of does make you just kind of fly in the air. It can be a little gimmicky at times. But regardless, you get the flow here. You basically just melee class, constantly jolt everything, and it does a ton of damage. The other cool benefit with Combination Blow is that every melee kill you get is going to grant you stacking damage, and this will actually work with Tempest Strike, increase the damage, and you could just nuke enemies with this. For your grenade, I just run Flashbang because it can blind enemies, non-stop champions. It's kind of just a utility-based thing. You're not really using it anything other than that. The whole build is based around melee and your class ability. And then for a super, I like to run Gathering Storm. It's probably the best thing you can run here. If you want to run something like Arc Staff or Storm's Edge, you can, but Gathering Storm is just a decent single target damage super, and you're going to be able to spam your super a lot. Now for the fragments, our first one is just going to be Spark of Resistance. So it's right at combatants, you're more resistant to incoming damage. This is used in every arc build. It just makes you even more tankier paired with everything else that we've already been talking about. Next up is Spark Frequency. So melee hits increase your equipped weapons reload speed and stability for a short duration, while amplified, the effects are increased, and you gain increased stacks of bullet charge from all sources. This is great because your melee will actually be able to proc this. It's not like super important because you do get melee kills the most, but the important part is that it increases the amount of bolt charge stacks. So since you're already getting bolt charge stacks for defeating jolted targets with Tempest Strike, this just means you can get more bolt charge to spam to do even more damage. Now next up is just Spark of Feedback. So taking melee damage increases your outgoing melee damage. This isn't like a crazy fragment to take, but in all honesty, there's nothing else here that's like also that crazy. So however, if you do take melee damage from somebody that's running up at you, your Tempest Strike going out is going to do even more melee damage damage now, which is nice. Then next up is Spark of Ion. So defeating a jolted target or defeating a target with bolt charge creates an Ionic Trace. Since you're going to be jolted targets all the time, you can make more Ionic Traces here, which is great. And then finally, it is just Spark of Discharge. So Arc Weapon Founders have a chance to create an Ionic Trace. And then collecting an Ionic Trace grants you a stack of bolt charge. This just plays back into Ion, since now those Ionic Traces that you are making will just grant bolt charge here. And you can also increase the amount of bolt charge you get with things like Spark of Frequency, which is nice. Now, if you want to run an arc weapon for this fragment, you can. We'll talk more about this a little bit later. It's not needed, but essentially you're going to be able to build bolt charge up quite a lot, jolt everything, and be pretty much unkillable. Now, jumping into the armor with this build, for stats, you are 100% going to want to get your melee up as high as possible. If you can get to 200, that's what you want to go for. You're going to get the increased regen, the increased damage. It's going to make Tempest Strike feel even better. Next up, you're going to want to at least have 70 class ability. Try to get to 70 if you can, because this is the threshold that makes it so you can actually get your abilities back whenever you use them. If you have a little less than 70, you can use your class ability, get a melee kill, and you're not going to get a full stack of it back. If you're at 70, you'll actually get the full thing back, and as you see, you could just keep spamming them over and over again like we just showed. Now, for the rest of the stats, honestly up to you. If you're playing into your grenade, I mean, you can obviously build more into that. Playing into health is honestly really good with this, because you will get 70 health per orb pickup, and pair that with all the DR that you're getting, you are pretty much unkillable. Now, jumping into armor mods, this is what I'm running if you like to copy them down, but as a close look, I do run a harmonic siphon, so I can make orbs on arc weapon final blows. This is nice. Again, you can swap this out for whatever elemental weapon you are running, but then a dynamo and a hands-on, so I get super energy when I use my class ability near targets, and I get more super energy on melee kills. Obviously, that's the whole theme of the build, so you're going to be able to spam your super quite a lot. Next up is triple heavy-handed. So now whenever you get a melee kill, you will make orbs. As you probably saw earlier, literally every melee kill you get will be able to make orbs. It does have like a 1 second cooldown, but it's not enough to the point where it's really going to affect much. As you see, any melee kill you're getting, you're making orbs, and obviously these orbs will be able to build super and play into other things. And then for the chest piece, just run triple resistant mods, swap these out for whatever content you're going into. And then for the boots, I like to run double recuperation, because this will give you 70 HP per orb pickup as well. Pairing that with the 100 health stat, you are pretty much unkillable with all the DR that you are getting and all the health you're getting. Since you're making orbs all the time, it's really easy to pick orbs up. And then I also like to run a better already, so you begin to regenerate your health. This isn't super necessary, because if you take chip damage, this just stops. It's not the greatest mod, but in all honesty, you don't really need energy for anything else. So if you're playing into orb pickup stuff, I mean, you can swap it out for something else, but it's totally up to you. I like better already pair with it just for a little extra survivability, even if it just heals it a little bit. Now, finally, for our class items, the Holy Trinity, we have Powerful Track, so we pick all the orbs up around us whenever we use our class ability. Obviously, this is a no-brainer to take. All of these will work with Ascension, by the way. And then Proximity Ward, so we go for a finisher, we get Overshield, and a special ammo finisher. So whenever we have max armor charge stacks, we make special ammo, which is nice, because we're going to be at max armor charge stacks all the time because of all the orbs that we are making. Now, for weapons with the setup, these are made so you can run whatever you want to. Again, most of your kills are going to be coming from Tempest Strike, but if you do want to take advantage of something like Spark of Discharge, the top part of it, I would obviously recommend running an arc weapon with this build. You can make even more Ionic Traces, which is nice, and those Ionic Traces will actually grant bullet charge. But again, it's totally up to you. If you want to, again, run the classic combo, you're going to be good to go. You can run whatever you like to, just make sure you're just getting most of your kills with Tempest Strike. Now, for set bonuses with this build, since your abilities are getting most of the kills, all the things that play into specific weapon types, I wouldn't recommend too much, but it's not the worst. Obviously, like the 2-piece of the Aeon adapter up here, you still are going to be able to get resistant damage, which is nice. You still can get kills time to time with this, so that's going to be pretty good. The main thing is the 2-piece smoke jumper. Since you're making a ton of orbs, you're going to have even more damage resist stack on top of everything else that we've already talked about. And if you go for the 4-piece, that's also pretty decent as well. It's kind of up to you on what you want to run here. Smoke jumper just obviously being the best. I know I've said this every video, but it is just that good. But for the transmog of this build, I took advantage of the same blue shader that I used for my Warlock and Titan, kind of giving it that like arc lightning-esque theme look going on. I made a more bounty hunter robotic theme look, definitely fitting the theme of Renegades, more so than like the ruggedish theme look that I did with the other two. I took advantage of the Grievous arms, some ornaments for Season and Dying, I'm pretty sure, the ornament for Gift Eviction. Overall, I think it turned out looking pretty cool. So if you want to make your hunter look like this, definitely be sure to copy it down. Anyways, though, that's going to do it all for this build. Let me know what y'all think about it down in the comments below. This is definitely one of those builds in the game I don't see a ton of people use, but it is legitimately one of the strongest hunter builds in the game currently. The amount of ability spam you get, the amount of survivability you get, the amount of killing potential you get, it is very, very good. And you also get a pretty decent single target damage super as well. It's definitely not the craziest thing compared to other hunter things, but overall, It is just a very fun, very strong all-around build that if you haven't tried out, I would definitely recommend, and it's one you're for sure going to want to have for Renegades. With there not being that much arc stuff in the current artifact this season, I imagine next season there'll probably be a bunch of arc stuff related, so it's going to make this build even better. Anyway, so that's going to do it all for me. If you haven't checked out my Warlock and Titan build, definitely be sure to give them a watch, and also be on the lookout for the final subclasses coming up very soon. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.